This is First Step.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the First Step podcast. My name is Kevin. Thank you so much for joining me on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Whenever you're listening to this, I'm super excited that you guys here. We've got Charlie Pigskin. We've got Stupid Stu. And back from his stint as the Halloween costumes Chewbacca model, Javi.
What's up, boys? Happy to be back.
I'm so excited to see you, Javi. I missed you. I love you. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're alive. How are you?
I've been changing diapers in my Chewbacca outfit.
Bubba, I don't know if you could consider your natural state as an outfit, but we're glad that wait. Now that I think about it, is the baby hairy as you are?
Possibly. I'm excited to be back, though. We're entering like the sports Mecca time of the year where we're gonna have baseball, football, NFL, and college, hockey, and basketball all at the same time.
It's a beautiful time.
I guess you could say golf, but it's shitty golf, so no one cares.
It is a beautiful time, and I'm super excited about it. I think that we've done a good job so far on football. I'm excited for hockey season coming in. I think, Hav, we're going to do a little bit of a preview on hockey season soon. We're going to deep dive into all these teams, get really up in there, and give you guys information that you guys can use to make your bets. Hockey season is just thriving. Let the teams get back into the rhythm, and then we'll come back to see where everybody is. But right now, and I want to talk about this. I've been watching college football, and I've been watching professional football. Now, historically, professional football is like betting Mecca, the best type of football. You have your best athletes. But I'm going to tell you something, and people always used to tell me, Kev, college football is better. And I was like, no, NFL is where it's at. The best of the best are playing there. But college football has been in a really good place this season.
I don't even think it's close.
I don't even think it's – you're absolutely right. I think college football has had the best games, some of the best talent I've seen in a long time. I think the NCAA has done a great job in promoting the sport. Obviously, with sports betting becoming what it is and the access to everything, people are locked in and watching it a lot. But I really do think that this has been a great season for college football. Lots of upsets. We have no really confirmed dominant team yet. I don't feel like it's been set in stone. I think once Texas loses, once Oregon loses, I'm sure that's going to happen at some point this season, that it's up in the air for anybody who wins. Carlos, I know you're a college football aficionado. You're a Florida fan, which is sad, but you also get to watch a lot of great games, and you've been part of the SECs. Do you feel like this has been like one of the best seasons you've seen in a long time?
It's been great. I think a lot of people are comparing it to 2007, which is like the famous best college football season ever because of the carnage. And we've seen a lot of just 2 weeks ago, we saw just so much carnage in the top 10 where so many teams got beat. Man, it's fascinating because I remember earlier this year, we had an argument about whether Notre Dame could run the table and still make the playoff. There's no doubt if they run the table that they'll be in that playoff. A lot of teams that I think right now we're out on are still very much in this playoff picture. And I don't think we're done seeing upsets. I think what you've seen is the transfer portal, because the teams that are at the top of the sport have been losing more of their backups and people who would have stayed around. They're not backed up by 5-stars anymore. Those guys leave and go play at South Carolina, go play at different teams. And we've seen the compression across the sport that I think has just made week in, week out just so much better to watch. I think from the top to the bottom, it's just closer in quality than it's ever been.
Yeah, and Stu, maybe you could explain this. Is it that coaching's gotten better? But I feel like the actual football, like players, right, athletes, the plays that are being called, they're not translating so much into the NFL. We talked about that before, how for you to be a good college quarterback doesn't necessarily you to translate to be a good NFL quarterback. But man, these quarterbacks plays, these running backs, this defense that's coming out, they look like professional. They look like grown-ass men. I don't know if we're still dealing with these COVID kids that are like 30 years old, 40 years old, still playing in college football. So is it just good coaching?
I think it's a pure byproduct of what we've seen with the transfer portal and NIL, especially this NIL. A lot of schools were hesitant and slow out the gate, but the last offseason, we saw everyone getting involved in the NIL pro and portaling players in. So I just think you have a lot of players, there's needs, and they can identify them quick, and they're bringing them in to plug and play. And you're seeing the guys who are really good at this, a Kurt Cignetti at Indiana or somebody, can immediately identify players and turn a program around in essentially an offseason. I also think it's also a little bit of a byproduct of this year. It doesn't look like there's any team that doesn't have at least an issue. Even the top teams, whoever you have as your top team, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, it just so happens that all these teams have a little bit of an issue. So that's adding a little more excitement to it in addition to that whole 12-team playoff. So all these teams have a chance. There's going to be teams with 2 losses right now that are going to still have a real chance in this. Even 3-loss teams potentially could play their way into something. Notre Dame, I think they're getting in with 2 losses. I think they can lose again and get in with what they have. It's just going to be an absolute bloodbath for some of these teams down the road.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for the college football playoff. I just saw something that's going to be probably like a month-long worth of games at the end of December, and I'm all for that type of football. I wonder if people are staying around in college longer because of these NIL deals, and then is that going to translate to more prepared, better NFL players, right? A lot of NFL guys, they do their 2 years, transfer out, try to get into the draft. Now are we going to see quarterbacks that are going to play for 4 years? Maybe not even just in football, in basketball as well. Basketball players, they play like their year, their ones and dones, and they're out. I wonder if in college basketball, now, hey, I'm getting paid $1 million. I could develop myself into a different type of player here where I might not get a chance to play in the NBA. I could stay here for 4 years, really hone in my craft, and then make a better product in the NBA. And that's something we could see maybe not next year or the year after that, but maybe 5 years from now, we're going to be seeing a different breed of athlete in both these leagues.
Yeah, that's something college basketball. I think we already saw it last year. I think college basketball we saw it immediately. Guys like Armando Bacot, Zach Edey, this year coming back with Alabama, Mark Sears. There's so many great players that it made more sense if you were going to be a second-round pick and a G League player to just start your NBA career faster to try to get those pro contracts and get to that second contract, even if you weren't going to be a high pick. Now it's like you're going to be making double the amount of money staying in school, and you're the man on campus, and you have all these other positive externalities that come with it. So we've already seen that big time in basketball in the last couple of years. It's only growing. I think this college basketball season coming up is going to be incredible. I've already gotten in the lab a little bit. Ken Palm, so I'm really excited for that. And then in football, I think we've already seen it also in some of the quarterbacks that have stayed. Jalen Milroe and Dylan Gabriel are 2 that come to mind that, yeah, they're not prototypical NFL quarterbacks, but still, after 4 years in college, you typically see players of that talent just go and try their hand at pro football. Now they're getting multi-million-dollar deals to go play at the top of the sport and try to win big time. So I think you see these guys who are not quite NFL shoo-ins stay in college. Cam Ward famously went to the pros, declared for the pros, and the NIL package was competitive enough, a chance to play for a title contender, and he came back to college because of NIL. So I think NIL is great for college sports. I think obviously it takes some getting used to, but I think we've seen a lot of positives from it.
Yeah, you said a title contender, but we're talking about the title contender, Carlos. Hav, as a student athlete, the one of many that we know, but probably the best, would you have stayed in college? You could have honed in your craft for 10 more years as a pro college golfer. You would have been impressive, and then you could have been up there going against Scotty Scheffler right now. Am I right? Getting that live money. It's a shame that didn't exist while you were in college, buddy.
Yeah, I would definitely stay. College was the life.
Spring Hill.
I do think that college football, I think the 12-team playoff has made college football just that much more exciting for all of us, too.
Yeah,
I mean, NIL has a lot to do with the quality of play we've had, but the fact that we have this 12-team playoff this year, I think that's just added a whole other layer to like the sport, the consolidation of conferences. Like there's just a lot of good things going on, and the fact that we're talking about so many teams possibly getting into the playoffs. You have 30 teams that you can talk about right now that possibly have at least a shot or an outside shot of getting in.
That's true. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that the college football playoff is giving these teams where, when we talked about it, they have the 2 or the 3 losses. We're like, oh, they're out of it. There's no chance that they're going to get the committee to bid for them.
Yeah, 1 or 2 losses doesn't really mean your season's over. Whereas before you would have you get 1 or 2, 3 losses. And a lot of these teams are just like, we're just playing for maybe a shot at our conference. And now you lose a couple games, you're like, no, I still have a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone reminded me when I did my early college football preview show, I said Ohio State versus Oregon, not a big deal if Ohio State loses because they're going to see each other. Maybe not once more, maybe even twice more at the end of the season. They'll probably see each other in the division championship or the conference championship, and they'll probably see each other in the college football playoff. They're going to be playing twice, and I think Ohio State was just like, I don't really care. They were playing in a tough situation. We're playing in Oregon. We still got a chance. But yeah, that being said, I want to dive into this week. We have a super exciting week for college football. We had a great week last week. I'm going to start with the big dogs, with the big game this week. I want to start with Texas versus Georgia. I'm going to go through my notes here. And then I'm going to give you my pick, and then you guys are going to tell me how far off I am. I think this game is a great game between Texas and Georgia, two powerhouse teams with completely different strengths. Texas offense is led by Quinn Ewers, who's been super dynamic, spreads that ball. He's got over 2,000 passing yards this season, and an offensive line that's stacked, protects the hell out of him. I think they're going to test Georgia's defense. I think if they keep up the passing game, they'll have a good chance of breaking through Georgia's aggressive front seven, which we all know is super disciplined. I think Coach Smart has built an elite type of defense that puts a lot of pressure on quarterbacks and does a good job stopping the run. But I think if they could get to Ewers and disrupt their timing, I think that's going to limit Texas's big play potential. However, on the offensive side, I think that the Bulldogs do this run play action, the setup that they do for the passes. I think they do a good job on controlling the clock. I think that they're going to try to break through that tough Texas front seven and establish the run. Right now, I think this game is going to be fought right there in the trenches. I think this is going to be dominated by the front seven on both teams, on both sides of the ball. I like the under here personally at 56.5. I don't think this game goes higher than maybe a 30-20 game. I like Texas here personally. I think they're one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, you set it up pretty well there. I don't plan on necessarily making a play in this game. I think it's just one of those games I just want to sit back and watch almost.
Yeah.
Based on what they've done this year, like Texas is just clearly the better team than Georgia based on just the play this year. If you look at any of these metric sites that only look at current year data, Georgia looks like a good but not great team at all. While Texas has been one of the top teams in the country. But I think we all know the talent Georgia has, the pedigree. I think you still have to consider the team that we expected to see show there. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of Georgia's offense since that second half of the Alabama game start to click. Their defense to me has been the most surprising, just not quite being that stout top three unit that we're used to under Kirby Smart. But to me, the name of this game is it's Kirby Smart on defense versus Steve Sarkisian on offense. I think Texas receivers and just the speed that they have all around the field is super underrated. And I think because of the weapons they have and the offensive line, I think the advantage is with Sarkisian and that offensive unit for Texas. Right now, I would have a slight lean to the under and slight lean to Texas covering. But I'd love to hear what Stupid Stu's thinking.
Give me your breakdown.
This is one of the biggest games of the season. This is the first time Georgia's been dogged since the home opener in 2021. Over 50 games. Give me the Bulldogs. I think they're just as good as Texas. They're catching 5 points here. Sure, they're on the road, but there's just way too many points here for a winnable game from, honestly, probably the better team. And they have a lot more to play for. Their backs are against the wall. They cannot drop another game here. Texas has looked more impressive, but at the same time, we got to dial this back. Oklahoma, they played a hurt Oklahoma. They didn't really look that impressive, in my opinion, in the first half. They kind of pulled away from Oklahoma in the second half because Oklahoma's offense is just inept. Both these teams played Mississippi State, and Texas looked better against Mississippi State, that's for sure. Georgia, you got to be a little concerned with letting up 300 pass yards to Mississippi State last week. But I really think Kirby Smart gets his defense up for these big games. Georgia's been in these big spotlight games over and over again, and Kirby Smart knows how to get these guys ready. I'm not sure Texas has been in this situation besides in a playoff game last year. This year, Michigan, that wasn't a very big game. Oklahoma, they could say Red River shootout, whatever. That wasn't a very big game either. I think Texas has got a little more to prove here. I'm worried if Texas is going to be able to respond. I think Georgia's going to take these pass rushers on the edge at Texas, who have been phenomenal this year. I think they're going to run right at them. Most people who like the Bulldogs are hitting the over-under, insinuates that this is going to be one of those higher-scoring games. When we see these better teams play, like Oregon and Ohio State last week, usually you have to score your way to 30 to win these kind of games. I actually think it's going to be under. I think you're going to see better tackling from Georgia. I think you're going to see better secondary play. Ellis Robinson's getting in there. He's playing well. KJ Bolden, the star freshman, is playing well. I think Georgia's going to play a much better game. I think Texas doesn't have these defensive tackles that they had last year, and I think Georgia's going to run right at them and test them, make it a little easy for Carson Beck. We have seen some receivers emerge for Georgia, and I think Georgia's going to definitely cover and probably just win this a tight game on the road.
Yeah, I don't hate the close game. I think this game is going to be super close. They're super evenly matched here, right? Also, you know what I have in the back of my head? Every time I think of Georgia now is what you told me about Beck, man. I can't get that out of my head. Him just at Publix, looking skinny.
That's a punchable guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't trust them.
He's walking around with Louis Vuitton bags, and they do not like it in Georgia. I'll tell you that.
We do not like that in Georgia. No, sir. Hob, what do you think about this game?
I hate Georgia.
Yeah, I think this is it's a tough game to pick. It's almost I'm feeling how Carlos is. I don't know if I want to pick a side. I just want to sit back and watch it. But they both said it well. I think the key is going to be Alabama showed that you could throw on this Georgia team. So if they can throw the ball around, Quinn Ewers comes out looking good. Yeah, I think Texas can take them, but it's going to come down to the battle of the trenches in this game. Can Georgia's D-line take over? Can that front seven do what everyone's expected them to do? If they can dominate and get pressure on them, then I think Georgia has a shot here. But right now, I don't really have a lean either way. If I had to pick, I'll take Texas. I do think they have more to prove, and because of that, I think they're going to come out. I do think they're the best team in the country right now. And like Stu said, they got a lot to prove. At least out of the two teams, they're the team that has more to prove. And a lot of people are saying they haven't really played anyone. If you want to count Michigan when they were ranked 10, but I think that's kind of garbage. They played a weak Oklahoma team. It's going to be a great game either way, though.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal game. It's my top game of the week. Second game,
sure.
Also super exciting. We got Alabama coming in from a tough time. We got Tennessee Volunteers coming in from a good old time. All right, we got a classic SEC showdown. I don't know where to start here. We go Tennessee. Joe Milton leads the Vols, quarterback. Tennessee loves fast pace, deep shot approach. We got his arm strength is incredible. They're constantly going downfield, but I think his completion rate under pressure is only around 56% this season, showing him he's a little bit inconsistent. I think that if the O-line can give him some time to keep Alabama, they could probably keep Alabama's offense backed up there a little bit, not seeing their defense on the field the whole time. I think their front seven has been super strong against the run. I think they're only allowing 97 rushing yards per game, which is going to be huge because it's a big, mean offense that likes to run the ball. I think Jalen Milroe is incredible. He's a Heisman candidate. I do think, however, that those Alabama receivers aren't as explosive and exciting as we used to see them. I think this game is going to be super close. I just think that Alabama's defense is going to be tough to beat. I like the Alabama money line here. I know Stupid Stu's got something to say about that. Stupid Stu, talk to me.
I like it. You can roll with the tide, man, but they're going to be singing Rocky Top all night long, man. Look, Tennessee, a lot of people are down on them because they're not what they wanted Tennessee to be, this high-powered Hendon Hooker offense team from the years before. And sure, they're saying the offense can't throw. The offense is throwing effectively in situational football. They have receivers on the outside. Sure, it's not as explosive as you'd like to be. It's a redshirt freshman quarterback, but Tennessee's a really good team. They're playing great defense. The defensive line is deep. They can rush the pass quarterback through all four quarters of the game, and they're running the ball well. Heupel's going to play a very good game here. The crowd's going to be in it. He's going to limit possessions. And Alabama right now is the one that's really worrying me. They're struggling to tackle. They're struggling in coverage. I think Heupel's going to be able to scheme some points for the offense. Nico hasn't looked like this Heisman hopeful that we all want him to be, but that's just going to take time. Tennessee's winning football games. They're learning to win. And Dylan Sampson's got his Heisman campaign running. So I think Tennessee's going to be fine here. I really like the matchup. You're number one in the country in EPA against the rush. You're number one in EPA in early downs. You're number one in EPA on third down. You're number one in EPA on fourth down. Tennessee's got some really good stuff going. It's home sweet home in Rocky Top, and they got the crowd. Alabama's 3 games in a row where teams about to beat them with South Carolina, Vanderbilt now, and the Georgia game. Coming to Rocky Top, it's tough to play a deal.
Are we going to say Alabama's going to go down again this season?
They're not looking good. They haven't looked good, and this isn't a Nick Saban coached Bama team anymore. And that's kind of thing you're seeing the difference there. Because usually you see that Nick Saban Bama teams have a bad week. Even if they didn't lose, they would have like a sluggish week. He'd whip those boys into shape, and they come back and just you see them get right and just thump teams. And you're not seeing that right now.
Yeah, but
the talent's there, but it's not the same.
This is still a very good coached Alabama team.
Very good Alabama team.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know, man.
It's tough, right? It's tough. We're talking. It's so hard, and we're being so crucial on this poor Alabama team who's been so good for so long, right? It's their first year, new coach, but this guy's been tested. He's tried and true. This is a tough SEC schedule. Alabama's doesn't have it easy this season by any means. Carlos,
Also,
what do you think about this game?
that over-under at 56.5 is a little high. Sorry to jump in there. The over-under, I don't know how they got that over-under. I like the under there as well. I think Tennessee has the personnel to get after Jalen Milroe all 4 quarters. They had a defensive line just like South Carolina, who kept Alabama off the scoreboard last week. And Alabama likes to throw it deep down the field. I don't think they're going to have time in Neyland to do that. Tennessee won't take Ryan Williams out of the game, but I'm not sure how much action he's going to get down the field.
Carlos, how do you feel about this game?
My only play on this game.
I feel like I'm listening to Soviet propaganda. This is crazy talking about this Tennessee team. Like, what are we talking about? This is like, you know why the numbers are so good? Because they played Chattanooga, NC State, and Kent State to start the year. They scored 69, 51, and 71. And since then, in regulation, they scored 25, 14, and 17. Like, this offense is awful. What are we talking about? Nico Iamaleava has people wide open. He can't even hit the broadside of a barn. The guy's awful. He's a joke. What are we talking about? And the Tennessee defense that's supposed to be incredible. Arkansas and Florida are not great offenses. They move the ball up and down. Yeah, they didn't score. They scored 19 and 17. They left so many points on the field. Last week, Florida in the first half had 4 drives into the red zone and only got 3 points. Do you think Jalen Milroe, Kalen DeBoer, and that Alabama team are not going to get more out of possessions than Florida did? And what I will say about Kalen DeBoer, I absolutely agree. Alabama's not looked great since that Georgia first half. But Kalen DeBoer, his whole career, you look at what he did at Washington, especially last year, and Washington looked very shaky week in, week out last year, but they were great in all their big games. Every time they had a big game, I don't know how many times I had to see Washington and Kalen DeBoer beat Oregon, but I kept trusting the talent, kept trusting Kalen DeBoer not to come through, but he always came through in big games. I think Alabama's just the better team. I think they win, and I think this Tennessee team has had real problems, and they haven't shown any signs to get out of that offensive rut that they've been stuck in for a month now.
Kalen DeBoer at his defense right now is not looking too good. And all those numbers we dropped are about the Tennessee defense, not the offense.
I know, but even the Tennessee defense has gotten run all over by Arkansas and Florida. The success rate the last 2 weeks has been incredible.
They're number 1 EPA against the rush in the country.
I can hear you guys argue about Tennessee.
Listen, Tennessee.
Like, we can do a whole pod on this.
Come on, bro. Like, we're dealing with Dan Mullen wearing orange. It's a joke.
Dan Mullen wearing orange. No, boy.
Like,
all right.
Come on.
Let's go to the next big game. I've got Michigan versus Illinois, the Fighting Illini. Illinois is about controlling the clock with their ground game, averaging around 170 yards per game. They love to grind it out, keep possession. Their passing game a little bit more conservative, sitting at about 190 yards per game. I think if they could get that running game going out early, they'll have a good shot at wearing down Michigan's physical defense, which is holding opponents to just 90 yards per game. Michigan's secondary has been pretty good too, but they have been a little bit vulnerable in the intermediate routes. I expect them to stack the box, limit Illinois' run game, and try to force Illinois into passing situations where they're a little bit less comfortable. I like Illinois here at +3. I think Illinois brings a tough physical style that's hard to crack. They've only allowed 18 points per game, do a great job against the run, only giving about 110 yards per game on the ground. Give me Illinois here. I think at +3, this is an upset. Give it to me.
I don't really like your pick there, Kevin. Sorry.
Jesus, stupid.
I kind of lean with the Wolverines here. Jack Tuttle coming back, I think, is going to be huge for the Michigan off perspective. That means they might go from scoring 7 to 14 points now. But I really do think Tuttle's a little more natural D1 passer than Alex Orji or Davis Warren. And then Michigan's getting a little healthy off this little time off. They got Miles Hinton back. And then they're able to, the other starter who's playing left tackle is going to bump to another position. So basically they're getting 2 starters back. I think that's going to help them with their identity. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. And I think they're going to win this little boring fest of who can run the ball and make less mistakes. Luke Altmaier, this is a game where Michigan does have the personnel to get after him without having to rush too many players.
Yeah, I do. I'm against what you're saying. Also, I'm not the one giving shit on Tennessee, man. That's Carlos. That's that guy. Don't come at me and my picks just because I don't like Tennessee. I think Tennessee is a great football team. I just like Alabama a little bit better. That's it. But
no worries.
But also, here's my thing, dude. I think this is going to be a super boring game.
Give me the under on this.
Yeah,
game.
I think this is going to be a super boring.
43.5.
That's the thing. It's a low total.
Actually.
It's a low total. That's the issue. I think this is going to be a boring game. That's why I like Illinois at +3. Carlos, are you with me on the upset or are you with Stupid Stu?
I don't have a place. I ran the numbers. I keep my own ratings here, and it literally spit out Michigan by 3. So I see no value here. But I do have to point out, it's October 16th. Michigan has had no injury problems at quarterback, and yet we still don't know what their plan is for the rest of the year. It looks like it's going to be Jack Tuttle, but this is just a team without an identity on offense at all. At least with Alex Orji, where they couldn't throw the ball, they had that kind of identity, and you saw them put it together and beat USC. But it's clear that's just not a long-term answer. And now they're going to Jack Toto, who at least is not scared to open it up and throw it downfield a little bit, but he just doesn't have the goods. I think what keeps me away from betting Illinois is I think we've overrated Illinois from what we saw earlier in the year. I think that offense just isn't that great. I like Luke Altmaier. I think he's a gamer and can make plays. And in a low-scoring game like this, I do like his ability to convert those third downs, but ultimately, I'm going to stay away. If I had to lean somewhere, I like to lean towards talent, and I would lean Michigan. But, man, this just seems like a brutal one to handicap.
I'll give that to you. It's a tough game. It's a great game, though. Great game to watch. Should be fun.
This is why college football is great. It's a great second or third TV game that could be upgraded to the first TV right away. When we talked about the NFL college football, the bottom line is there's just way more games in college football. In the NFL, you have so many windows, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, where there's only one game. So if that game doesn't hit, you're screwed. In college football, at every moment, you've got a bunch of games. So you just got to get that remote handy and get ready to move it around and get it to the right game.
You're going through it. Have you got to play on this game?
Absolutely not. Like the only thing I would maybe think about doing is the under, but even then,
It's a
really
low under.
low.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Those are stressful. Unders to me, they're too stressful. I try to avoid unders like wildfire. I believe in an over game. You want a good game. You want to see it. But man, when you do an under and you're just stressing every play, everything is a tick. You're just looking at that clock. I lost
an over-under last year that was 32.5 or something like that. Something low 30s in the Army-Navy game on a safety at the end of the game. It was brutal.
That's brutal.
I will say, even at 43.5, I still think it will be a great sweat. I think if it does hit over, it's gonna.
It's worth it. It's just not for me. I already have the
under
on
the. Make a play,
I already have the under on the Texas game. I can't do more than one. All right, next game, UCF versus Iowa State. Now I get it, not the most incredible game, but hear me out. I think Iowa State likes to keep things super balanced, methodical. They're averaging about 260 yards in the air, 100 on the ground. So they're all about steady drives and clock control. QB is super efficient, avoids turnovers, which helps wear down defenses. On defense, they're tough. They give up only 16 points per game. They got a solid secondary and a front seven that holds opponents to under 110 rushing yards. So they're good at keeping the big plays down. How are they going to do it? They're going to have to slow down UCF's fast-paced attack. This is a UCF team that tries to score a lot. They've been playing tough teams this year. KJ Jefferson, I don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be, actually. I don't know if it's going to be KJ Jefferson or if it's going to be our old friend, Ja'Cory Brown from Miami. Their defense is fast and aggressive, but they struggle against teams that could hold long drives. They've allowed 27 points per game. And even though they're good at pressuring QBs, their secondary gets super exposed. How do you feel about this, Carlos?
If I leaned anywhere, I'd lean UCF, but it's almost as a hedge. I got a sizable play on Iowa State Big 12. So I love the position I'm in on that one, but I'm sweating out. Every Big 12 game, I feel like it's close.
But hear me out.
Team that's really struggled the last couple weeks.
You're pissing me off because you know my rule. What's hedging for, Huff?
I'm a gardener.
Pissing me off, dude.
I'm hoping to get in the position to hedge. I think Iowa State takes care of business. I just think 13.5, like Iowa State is a methodical defensive team that I don't know if they're built necessarily. I know they just did it to West Virginia. I'm not sure if they're built to cover spreads like that, but I think they have enough to choke UCF out and continue their skids.
How do you feel about this game?
I like Iowa State. I like them on the number 2 to cover. I can't believe I'm saying it. UCF, I would have never said this 3-4 weeks ago. UCF looked off. I don't know what's happened to UCF the last 3 weeks. It's not even the same football team from the start of the year. But Iowa State, you're undefeated. You look like you're going to run away with the Big 12 title, which is good for that program. And really just Rocco Beck, Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, that passing attack between those three, tons of chemistry. They can score. They're not just a defense like most people see that Iowa State typical Cyclone team. Iowa State's offense, 25th EPA with the pass this year, passing the ball very effectively, like a top 25 team. And UCF's secondary, 87th in the country against the pass. So I really like that matchup. I think Iowa State will be able to get a lot of points from their perspective. I do think they cover.
What do you think about this game?
We're still on it. I had Iowa State on this to cover. I already placed the bet. I think I do. I don't feel great about it, but I'd like them. I'm with what Stu was saying. I think UCF is a completely different team now. They have not been the same team that they were at the beginning of the year, and I think Iowa State gets it done here.
Yeah, I just want to
in another kind of uglyish game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun game to watch. I think it's a game that has a lot of playoff potential, especially for Iowa State in the Big 12, obviously. Also, I just want to point out that I pissed off somebody because Carlos against me or Stu's against me. Neither one of them are on the same page. Last week, Stu, we were together for every pick. I think there was one that we were off. Who did I piss off? What did I do? What chicken do I need to kill to get you guys back on my team? I'm super worried now because every pick is in doubt now. Now I have every pick in doubt. You're pissing me off. I don't even want to talk about this next game. You know what? We're going to talk about this SU versus Arkansas game. I'm just going to come out and say it. I have the Arkansas money line here. I like them upset here. They're 4-0 as underdogs. I had LSU as an underdog, last week, and you guys were and Stu, you gave me shit for that pick. The LSU as an underdog, you gave me shit. I also had USC, and you also gave me shit about that one, and that one was close.
I can't believe LSU pulled that off last week.
I had the complete opposite. I like Arkansas here. I think that Arkansas really wants to win this game, playing at home against LSU. I understand that they have a super high-powered offense, but they have some weaknesses all over the place. I think LSU is when we talk about a team that was affected by the transfer portal and NIL, I think this is that one team that kind of got weakened by it. I don't think they did enough for it. And I think we're starting to see those holes. Granted, they did do the upset last week. This week, I think they get upset. Give me Arkansas money line. Carlos, how do you feel about this game?
I keep going back and forth. I think based on what I've seen this year, I love Arkansas. I think they're a really good team, successful. I've played a really tough schedule and game in, game out. Even games they've lost, they've shown that they have the talent and like the team makeup to be effective, both offensively and defensively. We saw what they did to Tennessee 2 weeks ago. We saw even their game they lost against Oklahoma State. They jumped out to a huge lead and showed what they were worth and just collapsed at the end. My big thing holding me back from just hammering Arkansas is LSU, and under Brian Kelly seems to be a team that kind of figures things out, especially offensively. You see them start slow, really start. And I wonder if the last couple of weeks what we've seen from LSU is them starting to figure out their identity and who they are. So I don't feel good going either way. I'm not going against you here, Kev. I'm just saying I'm not ready to hop necessarily in the car with you.
Thank God you're on the podcast today. So you're seeing this firsthand, this murder that I'm getting from all these people here. Stu, how do you feel about this one?
I do like to play, Kevin. It's just, is Taylor Green going to play? Taylor Green, the Arkansas stud QB, he pulls this whole thing together. He holds it all together. He's the gel of this team, and he just hasn't played since Tennessee knocked him out. Based on what Vegas is saying and the way the spread's going and what's been released so far, it looks like he's going to play, which is a good sign. So I'm just waiting to kick off. I'm eyeing this game really closely, waiting to kick off, because I love this Arkansas team if Taylor Green's a full go too, especially because he likes to run around. One thing that's a little concerning is LSU's starting to find their stride. Their defense is playing a lot better which is not saying much, but their defense is playing much better, especially on the edge. Xavier Jones, some of these defensive ends are playing really well, and that's going to be huge in a matchup against Taylor Green with the way he likes to get outside the pocket and make some plays. I do love this Arkansas team, though. Love Petrino calling plays. Love Andrew Armstrong. I love the running game. I really think they could score some points here, and you could score against LSU.
Yeah, I mean, their secondary is so bad, dude. It doesn't look good at all. It reminds me of another team we'll talk about. It's like Miami. Like, their secondary just gets rocked by all these teams, and especially a team with Arkansas, with Taylor Green coming back. Hopefully, he's got like 1,500-something yards passing yards this year. I think he's a really good quarterback, and I think he could expose these people. Playing at home as an underdog. Again, 4-0 as an underdog this season. 4-0 as an underdog this season. That's a stat that you take.
No more below the belt shots in Miami. Our secondary's fine. Don't do that.
Hey, truths are truths. Truths are truths. What do you think about this game?
Soviet propaganda.
I don't have a play on this game solely just because I've lost so much money on LSU this year. At the beginning of the year, I was betting against them. I was betting with them. over and stuff, was losing everything. And then the second half of this year, I keep betting against them and losing those two. So like, I have no idea how to bet LSU anymore at this point. So yeah, it sounds fun to go Arkansas here and bet the upset, but like every time I place a bet on an LSU game, I lose. So I'm just gonna stay the fuck away from it.
That makes sense. Stay away. All right, next big game, Miami Cardinals. How do we feel about this game, boys? This one's going to be hard for me because I have Miami here.
By a million.
I have Miami here at -4. One of the most exciting offenses to see. Super smooth, great under pressure. Louisville, not a cakewalk. Absolutely good defense. I think they have a top-tier rushing offense. They're averaging 200 yards per game with Gerard Jordan. I think their strategy here is going to try to be to keep this offense off the field. Just throw it, get it away from us. Get away from that front seven, and hopefully, I think Miami's gonna get away from that and take it to Louisville. Carlos, you as a non-Miami fan, how do you feel about this game?
Yeah, this is a game that like before the season I like circled as I can't wait to pick Louisville. I think Louisville's such a tricky place to play. I'll never forget we've seen Florida State go and just die at Papa John Stadium a couple times. Lamar Jackson took their soul when FSU was at their height. It's just tough to play. And on paper, Louisville has a lot of the ingredients to take advantage of Miami's weaknesses. They're susceptible to giving up the big play. I think anytime you play a play caller like Jeff Brom and Tyler Shock, how do you say his name? I never
Tyler Show or Tyler. Yeah, it's Tyler Show.
Yeah, I never know exactly how to say it, but he's not a great quarterback, but he does have an arm and can get it downfield, which I think could be a little scary for Miami's DBs. But at the end of the day, like this Louisville team, the last month has just left me cold. And while my lean, I guess, would still be Louisville in the points, especially if you can get it like at 5 or closer to 6. But I don't feel good enough to bet it. I think Miami's a more talented team, the better team, and coming off a bye. So I just don't feel comfortable betting the game.
Just once in your life, say you want Miami to win, dude.
I want them to win. I'm wearing red. I'm wearing this for Louisville.
God damn it.
Stupid Stu, how do you feel about Miami this week?
Miami's going to be fine. Coming off the bye, Jalen Rivers coming back is huge for the Hurricanes. They finally getting their stud left tackle back to protect Cam Ward's blind side. This Louisville secondary struggled already in ACC play. They're going to get torched to the Hurricanes. When our offense is going, I'm feeling really good. I think the run game will be able to go pretty well against the Cardinals. Now that Bain's gotten a game under his belt and Barron and Barrow are getting healthy with the bye, I think you're going to see the killer bees out there, Bain, Barrow, and Bain. This is going to be terrifying for Louisville. Tyler Shaw is the best quarterback Miami's going to see so far this season. And Jeff Brom, one of the best schemers out there. I just think Miami's had a whole week to scout themselves. I don't think you're going to see them giving up the big play like they did against Cal. They dodged that bullet. I think they'll be able to handle Louisville. Covering the spread, I liked it more at 3. Then it got up to 4 at 5 now. That's starting to get a little high there. This is a winnable game for Louisville. The place can be going wild. But I like the Canes.
Love it. Do I even have to ask? Is it money line? Is it the spread? And is it the points?
I mean, we're betting it all as always. The huge homer play, obviously. I wish I could be as the homer me is as optimistic as Stu, but deep down inside, I would say it's a tough game. Definitely Miami's biggest test. Cristobal hasn't really been very good coming off a bye historically, at least with Miami so far. We are getting healthy. We after the last game, the players had a players only meeting to just talk about how they haven't played their best football yet. That we're the number 6 team in the country. We have all this hype, blah blah blah. They really have just gotten by the last couple games. I like to think that we're going to come out and finally start to show some of our better football that we're playing. Not wait till fourth quarter heroics to do it. Defense is getting healthy. You'd like to see them start to pick it up a little bit. This is going to be a huge test for them. This team definitely can put up points against our defense. I still, in Cam Ward, I trust. Definitely taking Miami over on points. I've done it every single game. I'm betting the over in this game, even though it's like at 62 or some shit like that, 61.5. Give me the overs until it bucks. Give me all the Miami bets, all the Miami plays I can take.
I love that as a Miami bet. I love you as a person, Javi. Thank you for being you. Carlos, you're a piece of shit Miamian. I hate you. You don't deserve.
Just add one more thing.
You don't deserve to live in our city.
I live in Coral Gables too. One thing about this game that's big for Miami is just they don't play another top 35 team in SP Plus after this game. So this is if they win
Yeah,
this game, they'll be more likely than not to finish the be undefeated going into the ACC title game. So this is a big game for that and guarantee
Yeah.
themselves a spot in the playoff regardless. So
I also think that's
if
where
they
my head
lose
was
this
at.
game, it gets
It gets
yeah, a loss to Clemson could mean no real top 25 wins, and 2 losses might not be enough to overcome a 3-loss SEC team with quality wins. So I think it is a big game in those respects for Miami.
Yeah, I think
And
I have Miami here at -4, and I was thinking about how much this Miami needs to win this game and what a statement it would be. Gives them a lot of leeway into the future.
Yeah.
I like Miami here. I think Miami's going to do great. Next big game I have Clemson versus Virginia. I have Virginia here at 21.5. I think Virginia, that's a lot of points.
It's a big game.
Huh?
It's a big game.
It's not a big game. It's just like a great bet, right? You got Virginia at 21.5 against Clemson.
Yeah.
Who is got a good defense. Virginia has a pretty decent offense. A little iffy here and there. Virginia's defense has been really good though this year. So give me Virginia at 21.5. Stupid Stu, how much do you hate this bet, and how much do I need to cry in my bet tonight?
no, I've been on the biggest Clemson train, and I think the market finally caught up to them. I like the Cavaliers here too, man. They're a balanced team on both sides. Clemson's really good, and they've hit their stride, but there's too many points for a Virginia program that's been playing better. But going back to what Chucky said, look, we don't need any more of that SEC 3 loss. I've already heard this all offseason. Sankey last week in Nashville meeting talking about trying to influence this committee with legislative nonsense and garbage, saying they better do an incredibly well job for evaluating our SEC schools, not letting them in, saying he's going to change the rules already with his executive action if they don't get him in. I'm sorry. Miami's getting in even if they have 1 or 2 losses. They've been the offense is super impressive this year. The issue with Miami is if they lose that other game is getting into the ACCs because Pittsburgh's 6-0 right now and Duke's actually 5-1 undefeated in the ACC, I believe. So just getting into that Clemson game would be the issue. But in this matchup, I do Virginia with the points. Clemson's unbelievable, but that's a lot of points.
21.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah, I like the Cavaliers.
Carlos, how do you feel about this game?
Too many points. I would have it 19.5 is where I have it. And especially if it's on the other side of that 3-touchdown big number, key number, I like Virginia's points here.
Javi, be good to me, baby. Come on. Let's go for 3.
Same thing. Give me Virginia.
All right. I think that's the first bet all day that we have total agreement on. I love it. Next big game.
Pass out on us again, please.
Next big game I
Please
got.
don't.
Big Ten matchup. Nebraska versus Indiana. Nebraska is facing the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers, who are currently 6-0 and ranked number 16. Their impressive start to the season has surprised many, thanks to strong play from quarterbacks. Curtis Rourke, who has thrown for over 1,750 yards with 14 touchdowns, completion rate above 70%. Nebraska has a record of 5-1, and they are desperate here to get this win to secure a freaking bowl game for the first time since 2016. I think their offense is doing well. It's led by Dylan Raiola, is how you say his name, who has shown super impressive composure. Dante Dowdle has been great on the running side. They've been super strong. I think Indiana is fighting to stay undefeated, but I want Nebraska to win this, secure that bowl game. Give me Nebraska at +7. Stupid Stu. Do you agree with me?
I got no play on this. I think the line is dead accurate. I like the Hoosiers by just about a touchdown. If you get it at 7, because I know it's floating around 6.5. It's gotten to 7 a little bit, and it gets bought up immediately. If you could give me Nebraska at 7, I'll take Corn or whatever we're calling them, the Corn Huskers. Indiana scares me though, man. Their offense under Kirk Cinetti has been unbelievable this year. I think they're scoring 40 points almost every single game. They're doing what Miami does. It's not the most impressive schedule, but at some point you got to just look at it and not go against this thing. Curtis Rourke's playing unbelievable, and actually Indiana is the only one of 2 teams in the country that has not trailed for a single minute in college football this year. Right now, Indiana's offense is just too impressive for me to bet against this team, especially at home. Kurt Cignetti's got it going. He's one of the best coaches in the country. It's clear as day. I do think Nebraska, if you get them at 6.5 or 7, I'd lean that way, but I really want 7 if I'm taking Nebraska.
Carlos?
Is the other team Navy or Army? That has led every
It's
second?
Army.
Yeah.
It's Army.
Yeah. I figured it was one of those 2. Indiana has been unbelievable. Like their offensive numbers are like out of control. Even SP Plus, who had still uses preseason ratings as part of their formula right now, still has their offense up to 15th, and they had it starting the season around 70. But they're facing what I think is a top 5 defense in the country. Nebraska, I think their offense has been pretty awful the last month. Dylan Raiola was looking really good to start the year. That offensive passing game has just not been successful the last couple games. But
I'll be right
I
back.
do think
No worries. Keep going.
I think Nebraska is just a different beast that Indiana's played. But even with all that considered, Indiana's numbers are so incredible on offense that I'd lean Indiana. I don't think I'm going to ultimately bet it. I think, like Stu said, it's a really sharp number. So I don't think there's much value in it. But I feel like I have to buy into what Indiana's done so far. If this was at Nebraska, I would love Nebraska, but I lean Indiana.
I'll give that to you. I think this game's super tight. I just think that Nebraska is going to be fighting for this tooth and nail. I think they really want this one. I really think they want to secure this. Nebraska's going to have a tough go at it for the rest of the season. I like them here, but you guys are absolutely wrong. I only have 2 more bets. One of them is happening right now. So for you guys listening to the pod, it doesn't matter. But I had FIU at plus 5.5, and I was super excited for that bet. My other one is James Madison versus Georgia Southern. Over 58.5 points. I think this is going to be an absolutely shootout just because there is no defense in this team. So those are my only 2 bets. Did I miss anything that you guys liked? Any big games? You talk to me. Tell me what you think. Stu, go ahead. Sorry.
Go, Stu.
No, I think one game we should dive into before we end this is the Kentucky-Florida game. But no other picks for me. We actually went through all of my games. You're over. I do think that's funny because Georgia Southern can't stop anything, and James Madison can score. Just cheering for touchdowns that game.
It's just going to be James Madison. Apparently, they're the best offense in college football, scoring 70 points on anybody who they want. So, yeah, give me James Madison to score. Kentucky, Florida. Why would we ever talk about Kentucky, Florida when that's 2 garbage programs coming in? But yeah, I guess if Carlos, you want to talk about Florida and Billy Napier and who is it, Mertz? Who's your starting quarterback right now?
Mertz, his ACL, his career's over, sadly.
Wow.
What a soldier. No, it's the DJ Lagway show now. I'm honestly optimistic about this game. I think we've been so much of a better team coming off the bye. But Kentucky owns us. Mark Stoops just absolutely stuffs Billy Napier in a locker every time they play. Anthony Richardson 2 years ago ended up being the number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
He had one of the worst games at quarterback I've ever seen in my life. And that was only outdone by Will Levis, who played even worse on the other side. I do worry about just ultimately, I just think Mark Stoops just knows Billy Napier inside and out. What he's trying to do on offense, he just owns them. But this Kentucky team is probably one of the worst in the Mark Stoops era in a while. So I think Florida should win, but I'm not betting.
You're not going to bet on it?
I never bet on a Florida game.
Wow.
I bet on the game last week, just the under, but I don't need to bet on Florida to watch it or care about it.
No, that's so sad.
I don't bet on Dolphin games. I don't bet on Heat games. The only team for some reason I bet every time is the Panthers. I think
That's because that's a lock every time.
I'm out here betting. I got Stu's always selling me on the Forsling plus 700 every game.
Keep that thing up every time.
Every time. I got the Rhino goal every time from my boy.
The Verhage points.
Verhage points, everything.
That's been a rough one to start the year.
Are we switching up to Chucky points?
What's that?
He's out for a week.
Oh.
I'm going to stay away from Kachuk for a bit.
Let's not get crazy.
Knowles talk today.
Who cares about the Knowles, Duke?
To be honest with you, it's been the most profitable bet for me all year. Just bet
against the Knowles.
No need to talk about it. Just bet against them and go to the bank.
All right, Carlos, any big games or bets that we're missing out on?
Yeah, I'll go quickly through this. I got Iowa covering 5.5 at Michigan State. I think Iowa's a pretty good team. I have them up to 15th in my ratings, and I just think they'll take care of Michigan State. I've got Notre Dame minus 11.5. I don't love this, but I do think Notre Dame's kind of figured it out. I think Georgia Tech is a little overrated from what they've been earlier this year. I've got Colorado, Arizona over 58. Travis Hunter is a little banged up, and I think that actually hurts Colorado's defense. And Shiloh Sanders is healthy, which also hurts Colorado's defense. I think Arizona, I know, has just been struggling, but I figure in Arizona, really good offense that's at home. I think we'll be able to put up some points against a Colorado team that's willing to give them up. I like Auburn, Mizzou under. I just think those are 2 pretty offenses that have just not really found it this year. I like Ball State. I forgot what that line was at. Where is it? Oh, this is a pure. The numbers tell me to take Vandy every time, but I think Vandy's coming off two of their most emotional weeks ever. And the other part is one thing I've been believing in more this year. We saw it with Kansas State early this year. When you have a quarterback that relies a lot on their legs, when you have a non-conference game, that means honestly very little to their season. I'm fading that team a bit because I just don't think they're going to rely on Diego Pavia's legs like they have the last 2 weeks against Kentucky and Alabama. Maybe that's dumb logic, even though I think this Vandy team is pretty good and still a little underrated by Vegas. I just think ultimately they're not going to cover 4 touchdowns against Ball State. I got Utah State +2. I got Buffalo -6, and I got Arkansas State +1. So those
Damn,
are
dude.
my last 3. To
You went
round
through
out.
it, dude. Go ahead, Stu.
I forgot to throw one in there. I do have the Calgorithm again. 9.5. NC State flying out to go see the Calgorithm. Fernando Mendoza, I will bet you all the way. This guy can play. The Calgorithm's for real. NC State is horrible. 9 points, no problem. Eat that up all day.
I think fucking algorithm.
So endorsing Kamala?
They've lost 3 games in a row, and they should have won them all. And
They
are
really
due
should have.
for some-
They should have.
They're due for a big win.
They're due for
And
a win.
NC State, you can't lose. You can't lose to NC State.
You can't lose. NC State, you can't lose.
They can play as bad as they want. They're going to cover.
Do you have a college bet that we haven't hit up yet?
Nope. The only one that I was looking at, Carlos already said, was the Colorado over.
I love that. Here's my thing. I'm such a Colorado hater. I don't know why, man. It's one of those teams that just pisses me off.
I don't hate or like them,
It's
but
the
I do
cover.
think they're fun to watch.
I like Travis
And
Hunter.
the late
Truth.
games.
Travis Hunter is the
Sure,
truth.
it's probably going to be a top pick, but they're fun to bet the overs too.
I thought it was the most fun game last week.
It's a fun game. They're really and they're always late, so it's nice. So you get that late game hammered.
Listen, I think college football has been in such a good place. I almost want to watch every game that exists in college football. There are no bad bets. You guys are incredible. Anything else that we missed? No. We're good. Do you guys want to stay on for professional football, or do you guys want to head out of here?
I'm going to head out.
Okay, don't go anywhere.
Fins.
Stu, Carlos, thank you guys so much for joining. Guys, Stu, rocking the merch. Show it off, Stu. Show it off. Guys, make sure you guys like. Make sure you guys follow. We'll be back with some NFL picks. Carlos, go ahead.
Before we go, I think we should reveal what our little 4-person parlay is here
Ooh,
for the people.
let's do
I
it.
think
Let's go with our 14 parlay.
Interesting.
We're cooking something up. Hands in the pots. Cross sport.
So I'll lead off. I'll lead off with a little appetizer.
Everybody go one by one through their play.
Dakota, Austin, Texas, Grand Prix, beautiful U.S. Grand Prix. Give me Lando Norris to continue his hot form and win the American Grand Prix this weekend.
Lando Norris. I love it. What do you got for our four leg parlay?
I'm going to roll with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You could send this fat Hurricane Milton at Tampa. You could try and get rid of him. You cannot kill the Buccaneers. These fans drink all day. They survive anything. All they want to do is get ready and watch their Bucks play football. I think they're going to eat up the Ravens.
I love it.
Bucks +3.
Love it. What do you have?
You know where I'm going with it.
I don't even have to look.
We're going Cats. If you want to put in the bet early, you can bet them tomorrow, or I guess this comes out Thursday tonight. Canucks. Or Saturday night. The line isn't out yet, but Panthers money line against Vegas Saturday night.
I love it. I'm going to do the Arkansas upset here. Give me the Arkansas money line. I think this is a fun bet. I think this is a great parlay. We got all sports. We're going all the way through it. I love it. I think it's at plus 1450 right now. If you do it right now, I don't know what it'll be tomorrow. Honestly, so many people are probably taking this in mentally that the lines are already probably gone down. But I like it right here. You guys are incredible. Carlos, thank you so much.
One more long shot. Rob Dillingham plus 1750 Rookie of the Year.
What the fuck?
Okay.
That's it. Rob Dillingham
listen,
plus 1750.
That's all you had to
Rookie
say.
of the Year.
That's all you had to say.
That's it.
Done. Lock it in. Lock it in.
Thank you,
Stupid
boys.
Stu, thank you so much. Carlos, thank you so much. We'll be right back with some NFL talk. See you, boys. Hello. We're back.
Yeah, now we're back.
It's Javi.
It's back to
We're
where it all
home,
began.
baby. Back to where
We
it
are
all
home.
began. We're home,
We're
baby. We're in our now. I know we talked shit about the NFL earlier, but the NFL is still home for me. I do love it.
And it's just one of the things is it's been almost impossible to bet, except for last week when I think like the road favorites went 9-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was wild. And I think if you go back to the week before, 12-0 or something like that, it's crazy. But other than that, it's been a bloodbath.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
You had the dogs crushing at the beginning of the year. Fantasy has been a mess, but has a lot of us up and down on it, which has just made props even harder. But I think we're turning the corner. I think the NFL's gotten a little better now. We're starting to see a lot more fun games. I think at the beginning of the year, you had a lot of upsets, but it was just bad football.
Yeah.
Now you're starting to see some good games, some high scoring games, just some overall fun games. I've actually also just had to do a lot more digging to find some edges. And I've moved off of picking so many lines on games and going to props, doing a little better on the props this year.
In the quarterback room, I just feel like it took so long for the quarterbacks to get into a rhythm. I think it took a while for the quarterbacks to understand the receivers, throw good passes, let their receivers play. There's been lots of injuries. But I think you're right. I think it has leveled out, stay a little bit more consistent. I have been doing better with my props than I have been with game lines. I have with me in my fancy little notes here, I have a good mix of props, money lines, spreads. So if you're into NFL football, I think this is going to be a fun little run through. I have a few games here, and then we could go through some of your picks. I have games that I like, and I like the bets. So I'm going to go start off Detroit Lions at Minnesota. It's a Sunday afternoon game. I think, but I'm just going to go with my favorite bets here. I like the Lions here at +2.5. I am so high on Dan Campbell right now. I think they're freaking on fire. Their offense has been incredible. I think Montgomery's been a beast. They're trying to get their linemen to score. I love it. They have 390 yards per game, averaging over 27 points. They just took it to the house against the Cowboys. I think Minnesota is also very good, but give me Detroit here at +2.5. Other bets I have here, like Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Give me Amon-Ra St. Brown over 75.5 receiving yards. Those are my three bets on this game. How do you feel about them?
I like this game. I think it's going to be a great game. It's tough to pick the Lions side just because, the Vikings have been crazy. I think they're like 5-0 against the spread, 5-0 straight up. Like they've just been like so good this year. I think they're the only team right now to go 5-0 against the spread. I also losing Hutchinson. I think that's a huge blow for Detroit defensively. I do think they're gonna have to lean a lot more on their offense because they really don't have a pass rush without him. I'm not sure if that's being overblown, but I will say I do the over in this game. That's that's my favorite bet in this game. And if I had to pick a side, I'd actually lean Lions as well. I want to believe in the Vikings coming off a bye. They didn't look very good in London. They got the win, but they didn't look good. The defense won them the game. And in this kind of situation, I don't know if that defense is going to be able to shut down this Lions offense the same way they shut down Aaron Rodgers, who just didn't look very good that game either, even though that defense has been out of control. They blitz like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good game all around, but my favorite play in the game is the points.
Yeah, I like it. Keep in mind. Minnesota's averaging, their defense is averaging over 25 points per game. So that's something to keep in mind. I like that bet too. Next game I got here, I got New England versus Jaguars. I'm going to tell you something. I like New England here. I like them to take it over 17.5 team points. I like the total game to be over at 42 on the total points. The Jaguars have been in London for 2 weeks now. This is their second game in a row there. I really like this Patriots offense with May at the helm. I think this is going to be a fun little game to watch, and I like the overs on both Patriots team total and the total over on the entire game. How do you feel about it?
I'm actually with you on this one. I like the over on this game. It's low, but I do think there's going to be a little bit of offense here. You've seen the Patriots, Drake May, the offense looks better. I don't know. It's only his second NFL game, but he definitely looks a lot better. The offense looks like it has a little bit of life with him. We'll see. These London games tend to be very ugly, but I still want to take the over. And if I had to take a player prop here, I think it depends. I don't remember what it's at right now, but I like the Drake May over passing. I think he threw for 260 last week. and I'm assuming it's probably going to be around like 200.
Yeah, he runs like an animal.
Yeah, he actually has some good rushing yards too. Let me see. Passing Drake May. Yeah, see, so it's at 202. So I really like that over. Yeah, I like the over on that. Jacksonville hasn't been able to stop a cold. Their defense is garbage. Everybody throws against them. I'm with you on this one. Give me the over and give me Drake May over passing.
I'll take it. Next game I got here, probably one of the better games of the week. Chiefs versus 49ers. Chiefs are super well prepared. They came off a bye. They're 21-4 off a bye week. Patrick Mahomes boasting a 76% against the spread record as an underdog. However, 49ers, third-ranked pass defense in the country, poses a super tough challenge for Kansas City with that receiving core that's just not that great. Brock Purdy has thrived in these games. Give me 49ers here at 1.5. I like this game a lot. I think this is going to be a super fun game to watch. Big issue here is the injuries on San Francisco's side. They have Ward and Jordan and Mason pending, but I'm still going to take San Francisco here at 1.5.
Yeah, it is basically coming down to pick 'em. If it's a pick 'em, I don't like betting against Patrick Mahomes.
Not the playoffs, though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but coming off a bye, they've been so good. Andy Reid is so good against the spread coming off a bye.
25-8-1. That's the record right now.
I know it's really good. That's what I'm saying. So it's very hard. I do San Fran, but I think I would take the money line if it's going to be -1.5. At that point, just give me the money line. Let's see where the money goes. A lot of people like to dump money onto the Patriots. A lot of the public, the Chiefs, they love to dump money onto the Chiefs. So let's see if we get a little line movement there. But if it's that close, if it's a pick 'em, give me the 49ers.
Love it.
I would
like it.
more than likely, though, be playing props in this one. I just don't know which ones yet.
Sure.
And it'll be likely on the 49ers side. I think the Chiefs are a lot harder to figure out prop-wise. Unless you go just like Kelsey reception overs. Like,
Even Kelsey's been a little fickle this year.
yeah, but it's been like yards and receptions. Like I hammered it the last game.
Okay.
When Rashi writes out, you saw his uptick.
Yeah, sure.
The numbers were also down. I don't know what they are now, but Kelsey, I remember like last week, the thing is over on yards was like 60 yards. I was like, there's 63.5. It was like the easiest thing to bet. I think he got it in like the first half.
Understood. Cool. Yeah, I'm not against it. Okay, next game I got Monday night. Ravens, Bucks. We talked about it in our little parlay that we're doing. I like the Bucks here a lot at 3.5. I think this has got upset written all over the place. Defense of the Bucks has done much better than they were in the beginning of the year. Basically, they got some players coming back from injuries. I think Vita Vea is a beast. That front seven that they have is 6 in stuff rate, which is basically stuffing anyone coming from to get over a yard. I think the Ravens are still a very good team, one of the best against the run defense. But something to keep in mind here, Lamar Jackson performs better as an underdog. He is 7-1 against the spread as an underdog, but he's 8-18 when he's favored. I like the Bucks here. I think Baker Mayfield's an absolute beast. Give me the Bucks at +3.5.
How much fun would it be to have Baker?
Honestly, I just need any quarterback at the Dolphins.
The Dolphins later. I love this game with you. You and I are thinking right on point tonight in NFL. I absolutely love the Bucks in this game. Don't get me wrong. I know the Ravens are good, but I don't think they've played their best football.
They're playing great.
Haven't been this dominant team that we've expected, especially to be like, I think the money line, they're like -200. I think you can get the money line on the Bucks like +1. I've seen it as much as +180 in some places. I love them +3. I already actually have a bet money line. I think Tampa coming home from the hurricane. Baker is playing like phenomenal football.
Lights.
And I also think that this Ravens team, you could pass on them. And that's the strength of this Bucks team. You know what I mean? They have that loaded wide receivers, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Baker's got them going.
Yeah.
The Bucks here.
An Evans touchdown, anytime touchdown?
Yeah, and this is so I've been feasting off Evans anytime touchdowns this year. Last week was the only week I don't like doing it with him against the Saints, and he still scored a touchdown anyway. but I went with Godwin anytime touchdown, and I'm pretty that cashed. But yeah, I love it. Give me the Mike Evans. That's actually my prop is Mike Evans anytime touchdown, and the Baker yards I think was a little high for me,
Sure.
but give me Bucks money line and give me Bucks at plus 3.5 too. Both.
Love it. Texans versus Green Bay. I like the Packers here at 2.5. I think their strong defense, basically allowing 20 points per game, has a solid edge against the Texans team that's been hit or miss. I think this is going to be a battle of two young quarterbacks. Give me Packers here at 2.5. I trust their defense a little bit better. Also, I like the CJ Stroud over 250.5 passing yards. I think he's averaging just about 266, so I think 250 is a good line for him. But yeah, I think this game's going to be a really good game, really fun to watch. I have a lot of at stake on fantasy for this game, so I'll definitely be watching it. But I have Packers at 2.5.
I haven't figured out where I want to bet. See, like this is where I've been struggling to pick a side on that I'll go props on. I really like Tank Dell in this game. You saw when Nico Collins out, his director, I forgot the name. I don't even remember the guys' names. The direct replacements. It was like two guys. They split snaps. They were just running wind sprints. Like they didn't even get a target. So I think this is now the Stephon Diggs Tank Dell show. Give me Tank Dell over 4.5 receptions and Tank Dell over yards in this game. That's my favorite bet right now. That doesn't mean I'm not going to have other plays in this game. I usually figure out all my props more like on Friday,
Sure.
Saturday.
Yeah.
They'll be posted then. It's a toss-up. CJ Stroud, it's what version of him are you going to get? If you get the potential MVP candidate, rookie of the year guy, watch out. But also, they're on the road. This Packers team is pretty good in Lambeau Field. So I don't know. I do like I've been eyeing that over at 47.5. I think this game has shootout potential. So I think we can see some points here, especially if we see, like we said, if we see that version of CJ Stroud come out. I think 100% we can get a lot of points here. So I'm eyeing that over. I haven't made the play yet, but I'm definitely eyeing it.
Yeah, I think I had the numbers here at I think I have 33-28. So definitely the over here will look good too. I've also seen some numbers go a little bit lower just because that Packers defense is shutting people down. So we'll see. I think this is going to be a really fun game, especially with Jordan Love, CJ Stroud going against each other. I think that's like a future watch. See these two quarterbacks go at it with each other. Last game I want to talk about, on my end at least, I have the Dolphins and the Colts. And I understand that this is a homer bet here. But
I'm with you.
Okay, I have the Dolphins here at +3. I think coming off a bye, right? Tyler Hunter has, not Hunter. Tyler Huntley has an extra week with this offense. I am hoping that Mike McDaniels has set him up in a situation where he could win. I'm hoping that Mike McDaniels has taken this team back from it. They played defeated. It looks like. I understand that they won last week or the last time that they played, but it's not a signature win. I think we have a way more explosive offense than we've been actually playing, and we look defeated. I think the Colts are super weak against the run. I feel with Devon A-Chain back from his concussion, healthy Mostert, Jalen Wright, I think we're well equipped to go against this team. And Anthony Richardson has not been playing to his potential, not playing actually at all. Still injured, I believe. Give me Miami here at +3. Talk to me. How do you feel about this game?
I'm with you on it, and we actually haven't been on in a month, so we haven't talked about the Dolphins much. But yeah, I'm with you. Dolphins have been rough the last couple games. I've been pretty sour on McDaniels. Don't think this team has been looking very well coached. I don't really see him catering this offense to him. I know that's hard to do, but I don't really think he's changed anything up. I think he's just trying, hey, we're going to keep running the same scheme, and Tyler Huntley's going to have to figure it out. Yeah, just be better. You're going to have to get up to speed, and I guess that's good for us when Tua comes back because the offense is just going to be ready for him still. I guess when or if he comes back, even though I think he'll come back after this Colts game. But coming off a bye, I do think that you're now giving Tyler Huntley some time to get up to speed with this offense a little more. I don't even want to say formidable because I think Tyler Huntley sucks. Personally, I think he should be like bagging groceries and not in the NFL, but that's neither here nor there. Sure, people say he's athletic and all that, but the guy's trash. Like, he's not a good quarterback. He shouldn't, personally, I don't think he should be in the NFL. But another week with him with this offense. I think that I would like to think that McDaniels has a decent game plan. Also, I think people are underrating the fact that Anthony Richards is back and Joe Flacco may not be playing. I think if Joe Flacco was playing, I wouldn't like the Dolphins here at all. But Anthony Richards is just this offense doesn't do anything without them. The Colts also defensively they blitz at like the lowest rate in the league, so they sit back on the. If our line protects him, he'll have plenty of time to see the field, make his reads, get some passes off. And then also this Colts defense, they're just not very good, man. This is a get right spot for every team. They've been getting crushed in fantasy. I play a lot of DFS. You just feast against, you play the guys, whoever's playing the Colts, play those guys in your DFS lineups because everybody just torches them. The run, the pass, they don't really stop anyone. They're a soft, very soft defense. And like you said, having A-Chain, Mostert, Jalen Wright all coming back, I think that we're going to be able to run it down their throat. I want to give McDaniels a benefit of the doubt that he's going to go ahead and have a good scheme for us. And yeah, give me the Dolphins +3 here too. It's a big game for us if we want to stay in the division. We'll get to it back. The Jets haven't looked that great. The Bills have looked sluggish, even though I think they're now 4-2. So I don't think all is lost if we win this game and we get to it back.
Yeah, I'm first of all, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think that this is actually a pretty big game for us in the sense of how the rest of our season goes. Jets got better this week, signing Devontae Adams. Bills looked very good this week.
Amari Cooper.
They
traded for Amari Cooper.
Yeah, the Bills got better this week by signing Amari Cooper. I think this is a big game for us. Also, bigger than the team itself, I think this is a big game for Mike McDaniels. I think he needs to show up. I think he needs to rally this fan base behind him. He, as a coach, I know has the team's ear. He is a player's coach. Players like to play for Mike McDaniels. When we watched Hard Knocks last season, you could see that players like playing with him. He's very calm. He's rough to talk though. Like when he's talking to the public, he's not great at it, and he admits that he's not great at it. But I think that the fan base needs to get behind him, and I think this game will do it if he could pull off a win. I really do hope that we could pull it off. I want to see Tyler Huntley do something. It was heartbreaking to watch the playback of those games and just watch Tyreek Hill, Waddle open, Tyreek Hill open, all these receivers open, and you're just like, dude, what are you doing throwing the ball out? Making the wrong decision is rough to watch.
I say we're excited. I'm excited because I think we can win this game, but let's be honest, this is going to be an ugly game again.
Yeah,
and it's going to be hard to watch.
I'm just waiting for Tua to get back. I think that Miami fans, if you're listening to this, if you're watching these games, I think we underappreciated Tua. There's a lot of Tua hate, but you could see how important Tua was to this offense, to this team, to the scheme. We were winning with him behind the helm. We were competitive with him behind the helm.
I think we could still win with another quarterback too, though. The problem is we haven't even put a real quarterback. We've put guys that literally should be working at McDonald's at quarterback.
Yeah, but people were saying that with Mike McDaniels at the helm, doesn't matter who you put in, doesn't matter what scheme you put in, and we just realized that's not true.
I never believed that because you can't have Skylar Thompson and Tyler Huntley in there and expect to win. That's irresponsible. I don't know if it's the GM or Mike McDaniels or whose call, but that to me, that's just irresponsible as a franchise, especially when you have all this money tied up and so much talent, and this team is built to win now, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I think especially with having a quarterback who, not for nothing, gets injured, right? Like we've seen it.
Understand how we don't
the Derek Carr. Wait, no, Derek Carr wasn't a backup. Who's the one from the Justin Fields and Russell Wilson and all these guys?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm taking Dolphins +3.
All right. So any big games, any bets that you have that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I'll give you a couple here. As far as props, I don't have any big bets. My big game that I was on, which you were also on, was the Bucks money line. That's one of my big plays this week. I'll give you a couple of props. I do like, it hasn't come out yet, but I'm going to take basically receptions, whatever the line is for Devontae Adams receptions in this next game.
All the overs.
I'm taking the over on it. I don't know about the yards, but I'm taking the over on receptions, depending on what the line is on the yards. If it's anywhere between 60 and 70, I'm going to hammer it. And then the other one that I really like also right now that I've already taken is Geno Smith over on passing yards. I think the line right now is 262 and a half. And Geno's, I think he's thrown for over 280 yards in like 5 straight games. So that's one that I really like. I've already taken it. I think this game is very much a shootout potential game with the Falcons in a dome. That off Geno's in a bounce back spot. I actually like the Cardinals here, the Seahawks here at +3. This is also one of the games that I like as far as picking a
Another
side.
little upset.
But yeah, I like them at least +3 to cover. I think this is buy low, sell high. Everyone's like all about the Falcons. I don't think they're a bad team, but I think the Seahawks are a good team this year. I actually think they're for real good. And like I said, you've seen Geno, he's cooked all year, 280 yards or more in 4 or 5 straight games. And they're giving us basically 20 yards on the props. I've already hammered that prop. I got a unit and a half on it, I think now. And then I haven't bet Seahawks +3, but I probably will.
I like that. I like that pick a lot.
I got some of the anytime TDs that I've been really feasting on. Jamar Chase, been loving Jamar Chase, anytime touchdowns. That offense has been cooking. I think, again, they're in a spot against the Browns where the Browns are just bad. Divisional game, so it could be a little sluggish, but still. Give me Chase anytime touchdown, and I might bet some Burrow overs, maybe even some Higgins stuff. This offense has been cooking. They had a bad week against this past week, but other than that, against a very scrappy Giants team, by the way, very scrappy. That defense is a lot better than people think, but that offense has been cooking, so I'm looking at them. And then other ones that I've been taking, I love Montgomery touchdowns and Derrick Henry touchdowns every week. This week they're a little tough to bet, especially the Montgomery one, just because the Vikings are a pretty good defense. But I've been doing like 3-way parlays, a lot of anytime touchdown 3-way parlays. So I'll probably set one up again, maybe like a Chase, Montgomery, and then I don't know if I'm gonna do Derrick Henry again, just because his anytime touchdown odds are getting up there.
Yeah,
but I'll find someone else and we'll post it on social media.
Love it. Yeah, I think those are a lot. There's a lot of picks there. Again, guys, if you're listening to this, we put up our posts when we lock them in. Most of the time on Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings, you'll get a post from one of us. You'll see it there. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. Make sure you guys follow us on TikTok. Make sure you guys follow us on YouTube and Spotify, too, if you listen to the podcast. But make sure you guys keep an eye out for all these picks. We post most of them. Follow them, tail them, hate on them. We don't care. Like, follow. It doesn't matter. We're losing money all the time anyways. It doesn't matter. To us, it's just whether somebody else could join in the misery or not.
NFL's been brutal, man. I've had some ugly weeks. We have done very well in college football this year. We're starting to turn the corner with NFL, and I am making a ton of money in hockey right now.
That's what I like to hear.
So
make sure you guys check out our merch on the firststeppodcast.com. That's stepodcast.com for all of our merch. Well, I'll put a link below in our bio here. And that's all I have for you guys today. Huff?
I'm excited about the merch. We got some really cool stuff.
It's all brand new. We don't even have ours yet.
I'm not rocking mine because it hasn't even come in. I'm still waiting for it. But there are some really cool designs there from some of your favorite teams. Absolutely.
We love you guys. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to First Step.
We told you we don't take this too seriously, didn't we? I'd say we've proven that. Yes, we love sports, and we love sports betting. But we like the funner side, not the stuffy side. We hope you had a blast like we did. If so, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram and TikTok at First Step Bets.
See you next time on First Step.